That sometimes the more we know, sometimes the less we do. But here are these guys who knew very little. Their questions, they had questions. Their questions put them on a journey that they were willing to seek answers to those questions for 2 whole years, to travel long distances. Now, let me ask you this. The questions that you have, because sometimes it's questions that get in the way with us following God. Sometimes it's questions that we bring up. We say, well, where is God? Sometimes during these seasons, we tend to ask deeper questions like, why is life the way it is? Is this really all true? If this is so, why is this going on? Where are you, God? And why? And we ask questions like this. But let me challenge you. What would it take to satisfy you? What would it actually take to convince you that this was so? See, in essence, these gentlemen, they went all these ways, and their search brought them. And so, if you're taking notes with me today, listen. What if the answer to our deepest questions isn't an answer? What if it's a person? What if the answer to our deepest questions isn't really an answer? What if it was a person? Because sometimes life doesn't make sense. I remember years ago when our former senior pastor asked me to leave the business world and come and be his assistant here and one day take over the church. Now, I saw God. I believed God had a calling on my life. And I really, for 4 months, wrestled over that end. Because I was making a lot of money as an entrepreneur in business for myself. But I knew this end. And so I decided, yes, I really felt God was in on this, that God was leading me to do this. And when I came here, and this is no disparagement to my former senior pastor, it's a lot, but he was from that culture, man. Everything was micromanaged. So I walked into an area where it was like, wow, no longer do you have authority to make decisions. And there were many times I'd be working on something, and he'd say, stop working on that, now work on this. And I'm like, do you realize how much I just invested in all this? And it was just so, at times, frustrating. I mean, I loved him with all my heart, but guess what? He was almost impossible to feel like you pleased him. In fact, his way of trying to love me was to tell me everything that was wrong. And that was his way to disciple me. And I used to say, hey, I appreciate the input, but if I ever do something right, can you at least throw me a bone? And there were times when it got so frustrating. I'm like, God, did I miss it? God, is this really what you had in mind? God, did I do something? Am I being punished? Is this like payback for something I did as a kid? I mean, what's going on? This doesn't make any sense. Anybody ever been there? I'm like, wow, I thought you were in this. Where are you? Whoa, this doesn't, because sometimes answers are not so much what we're looking for. It's far more personal. Why? Because faith is an issue of the heart. You see, those magi, those wise men, they came in search of answers. And they followed a star, and the star led them where? It led them to a child. It led them to Jesus. And maybe, just maybe, what you've been searching for all your life is not really answers. Maybe you've been searching for the one whose name is Jesus.